Believe it or not, you don't actually need drawing skills in order to make storyboards. There are actually many other ways you can do it, and that's what we're going to run through today. Now, first of all, if you don't know what a storyboard is, storyboards are effectively a visual representation of your shot list. Now, you don't always need storyboards, so don't stress out thinking that you're going to need storyboards for every single project you do. It is a very specialized thing, and they're useful if you're doing something really complicated, very complicated movements, very exact framing, or you're doing things like animation. Most of the time, storyboards are drawn pieces, but you can do them a multitude of different ways, so let's discuss that. But first up, let's talk about what to include in storyboards. Now, there are heaps of storyboard templates out there online. I'll actually include a link to one below for you, but basically what you need is a bunch of frames, plus a space to put a descriptor, and also a space to put what shot number it is. So you will include a scene and a shot number and a description of the shot, including character action or camera movement. Now, this can also be included within the picture itself, so you can put in arrows to indicate camera direction, character direction, whether you're using a dolly, a jib, a zoom, doesn't really matter. You can indicate that within the storyboards using arrows as well. You can even go more intricate than that and actually write down what lens focal length you would like to use for that shot. So if you decide that you want to do this particular shot on a 25, you can write that there, and then on the day of the shoot, you'll know exactly what lens to go to. Now, what are some different methods of making a storyboard besides drawing them? Now, you could just take photos, and you can do that on your DSLR or on your phone, it doesn't really matter, but do take note of what focal length you're using, because that will come in handy. Now, you can even use something called Artemis, which is an app for iOS and Android, and it pretty much utilizes your camera to use it as a director's viewfinder. So you can select the camera that you are going to be using on the day. There is a huge selection of cameras in there. You can choose the frame as well, so if you're shooting in 4K versus 1080 or 5K on a red or whatever, you can select exactly what you're going to be using, and then you can also select the lenses that you're going to be using, and you can program that into it as well. And then when you go into the camera function of the app, you can take snapshots of certain frames. And what's also nifty about that is it includes a bar down the bottom of your photo, which includes the lens information and any details that you possibly need for a storyboard. That is a really, really handy tool. There are a lot of times I've used Artemis either on the day, on the shoot day, so I can get a proper lens decision, or even during the recce, where I can use it to make sure that a shot is going to work in that space. So if you plan on doing storyboards but don't plan on drawing them, this is a good method. Another thing you could use is stock images. Much like using photos, you could find stock images online that suit your needs and then composite them into a layout that works for you. This can be a little bit harder because it takes a little bit more research to find those images, but it is a valid way. Another cool thing that you can do is you can take all those photos, all the photos that you've taken in Artemis, and transfer them into a storyboard template where you can add the descriptors, you can add the arrows on top, and do whatever you need to. To composite these together, you can use any photo editing program that you like. Currently, I am using Photoshop. You could even use the photos or the stock images as a reference for a drawing if you wanted to actually get the drawn storyboard look, or alternatively, you could just trace over those images. Now, I don't condone stealing images and claiming them as your own, but tracing is a valid method of actually learning how to draw anyway. So if you're going to be using these for personal circumstances, I don't see any issue with that. Just don't claim them as your own, obviously. Now, you won't always and you don't always have to use storyboards. It is a very situational thing. If you have some sort of project that is very precise in its framing, like an animation or something with large amount of effects, then yes, it is useful, but sometimes it's just not. What I like to do is I actually like to speak to the director and see which way they like to go, whether they like to look at storyboards or whether they decide to go for just a shot list and camera blocking instead. But there's no doubt in my mind that storyboards are an amazing way to pre-visualize what's going to happen on screen. It's just personally, I like working from shot lists and also doing camera blocking, which allows me to have an overhead view of the location, see the character movement as well as each camera setup. And in doing that, I can also show my team exactly how to set up on the day. So that's a couple of different methods you can use to make storyboards that isn't just drawing. So thank you very much for watching this video today. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did enjoy it, please remember to give it a big fat thumbs up. And if you would like to see more of my face and learn a little bit more about filmmaking in the process, remember to subscribe, and I'll see you next Sunday.